For all. As for roll call, I can attest that all supervisors are present and accounted for. Just to clarify, District 2 is currently vacant, and also Supervisor Leith is joining us virtually, and I hope she's feeling better tonight. Okay, public comment. I did not receive any public comment cards. Anyone from the public would like to address the board? Any public comment? Any public comment? All right, seeing none, we're going to move on to our consent agenda. The only item really is the minutes from our last meeting, and unless anyone has any issues with the minutes, we'll move ahead with a vote on the consent agenda.
Motion and a second for the consent.
Yes, a motion, please. Supervisor Burning?
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
And second, Supervisor Counter. And we're ready to vote. And that's unanimously passed. Thank you. All right, we're going to move on to presentations, recognitions, one or the other. I'll turn it over to County Administrator Witt.
Thank you, Chair Long. All right, so this is the part of the meeting where I get to thank all of you and tell you what a good job you guys are doing. But really for all the supervisors, as we finish out this term, this is the last meeting of this county board term, and look forward to the new term. One of the things that really I think makes government, and my experience, Wisconsin government, unique is the collaboration and the different backgrounds all of you bring. So all of you have different life experiences, different work experiences, different pieces of knowledge, and it's bringing all of those 19 together and talking through those issues and sharing your different areas of expertise, and then coming to a consensus that I think really makes Wisconsin government special and effective. And really, I just want to make sure that you guys know I appreciate that, the staff appreciate it, so thank you for everything that you guys do. So there's a few of you, though, that we know are not going to be back, and so we want to give you a special recognition at this meeting. So first up is Supervisor Ramberg. So Supervisor Ramberg spent several decades working for the county. He was highway commissioner, so he had brought to this board tons of knowledge about highway operations, about county operations, that historical context, which I'm sure all of your peers greatly appreciated. You also brought with you the Timmyisms, which, you know, I found very entertaining. And so as you finish up your 4 years here on the county board, Supervisor Ramberg, I just wanted to say thank you, and we appreciate your service.
Just want to thank the Academy. No, thank you very much.
All right, next up, we flip all the way to the other side, Supervisor Lind. So, you know, every meeting when I come in here, Supervisor Lind has a smile on her face. She's in a good mood. And, you know, whether we have difficult things on the agenda or you've had difficult things in your life, you always bring a positive attitude. You always have something kind to say to me. Tonight, you told me that I was right, so that was nice to hear. But I think all of your peers appreciate that positivity. So thank you for your 4 years of service, Supervisor Lynn.
Of course, I'm going to say a few words. I wrote it down. What an incredible opportunity this has been. Public service is not easy, and I am especially thankful for my fellow board members who helped me learn to navigate some of the ropes of being a county supervisor. And to Ken, Heather, Christine, just to name a few, but the county staff as a whole, thank you for all the work you do here. I have learned so much, and clearly you can teach an old dog new tricks. Thank you to my District 1 constituents, my family and friends who supported me for the past 4 years. I leave this role grateful, humbled, and confident in the continued leadership of our county. What a privilege it has been to serve. May God bless this county.
All right, next up, we have Supervisor Christine McCarthy. And I know you've only been with us for, less than a year, but, I really want to thank you for stepping up and filling that vacancy. I know that a county board commitment is a lot of time. It's a lot of time away from family, away from work, and away from everything, so dedicating that time. And we appreciated you stepping up, filling that level, and bringing your expertise to us. So thank you, Supervisor McCarthy.
I just want to thank everyone. I think this experience has given me absolutely a new appreciation for the work of public servants and the work that everyone does, both on the board and in the county government, so I really appreciate that. And in the 8 months that I've served, I think we had maybe 2 meetings we didn't have, so 6 meetings. Every single meeting that went 4 or 5 hours long, everyone told me they never go this long. But it was quite an experience. I learned a lot, and I was really happy to be here and serve. So thank you.
All right. County Board Chair Bob Long. So Bob came on the board in 2016, about a month before I started with the county. And then he was on for a little while, built a new house, so had to switch districts, came back to us, and then he spent the last 4 years now as county board chair. So the county administrator and the county board chair spend a lot of time working together, going over meetings, planning, setting strategy for the county. And so we've had a very close working relationship. And I very much appreciate all of Bob's input. I think we balance each other very well. We agree on a lot of things, so it's not hard to balance each other when you're at that same weight. But I very much appreciated everything that you've done for me, Bob, and everything that you've done for St. Croix County. Thank you.
Okay, given the opportunity, I'm always good for a few comments. Anyhow, thank you, Ken. It's been an absolute pleasure working with the county staff and you, Ken. And I want to add my personal thanks to Supervisor Ramberg, Supervisor Lynn, and Supervisor McCarthy. Thank you for your service. Even if it's been brief, it's good. It's very much appreciated. So yeah, 10 years, I've learned a lot. So I thought I'd just throw out some reminders for those of you who are going to be returning to the board, things that I think will help you be successful. Things like when you come back, make sure you stay out of the weeds. All right, we have an excellent county administrator and a staff, and make sure you continue your focus on high-level, long-term policy. That's really what you're here for. And that's good. And make sure you respect the committee structure. The committees do all the heavy lifting. Look at tonight's agenda, the Community Development Department. Holy buckets. A lot of work went into that before it even comes to the board. So please respect the committees and their recommendations for the full board. And then last thing I just want to hope you'll remember, and I don't want this to sound too preachy, and I'm sorry if it does, but one thing that I think will help is just to remember that you're not really important. okay? It's the citizens of the county that are really important. And you're here to serve those citizens. You're not here to serve yourself. You're not here to make yourself look good to your constituents. I know it's campaign season, but the best thing you can do is when you walk through those doors, leave your ego and your politics at the door. Be willing to listen, be willing to learn, be willing to consider different opinions. And that will really enable you to make much better decisions down the road, and will benefit the county for sure. So I just want to, I want to thank all of you for the opportunity to serve, to have been able to serve all of you as your county board chair. It's been an ultimate privilege, an honor, and I'm incredibly grateful for having had that opportunity. And I hope that I've been able to do a reasonably decent job along the way. I know I've made some mistakes, but I really appreciate your support. And again, I'm very, very grateful. So thank you, and the best of luck to all of you. All right, we're going to move on to our county administrator's report.
Yeah, the county administrator's report is in the packet. The one thing that I'll talk about from the financial report is really a look back at 2025. It's the pre-audited numbers, so there'll be some adjustments and stuff that are made yet to that. But really overall, looking through all the departments, I think we're right on track of where we normally are, which means that we'll have additional fund balance remaining at the end of the fiscal year here. And everyone, all the department heads are doing a great job in managing their budgets and staying within budget. So really overall, everything is looking very good and very much on track. Are there any questions from anything that you saw in the report? Probably as we wrap up the year too, the tax report, where we look at the vehicle registration fees, we were right on target with where we expected to be, 34,000 over budget on that. Over budget being good on the revenue. And then on the sales tax, we still have just the 1 month to come in yet, but we're within $500,000 of budget on that, so we should easily hit that for the year.
Any questions? Supervisor Fiedler.
Kind of a question, kind of an observation. It'll have budget impact in the future to some degree, but our administrator was extremely creative and energetic and thoughtful and worked hard to put us on the verge of getting a new judgeship here in St. Croix County. And I wonder if he could, since we're in the financial, he might have to say a word or two about the finances, but could he update us on where that sits? Because that's a major, major step for St. Croix County. And it also is a result of a lot of pre-planning by this board and others to get us to the position where we're on the verge of getting it.
Sure. The Wisconsin, so circuit court branches are authorized in the state statutes. And so St. Croix County currently has 4 authorized circuit court branches. To add one, there has to be legislation at the state level to do so. So there was recently some legislation that was introduced that would have added, I think, 4 around the state. I think 2 in Brown County, and then 2 other counties were getting one. So Judge Nordstrand, I think, who has some contacts at the state, I think had made the initial phone call to our representatives and inquired about St. Croix County being added to that list. We went, Judge Waterman and I went to the State Senate Committee, Judiciary Committee hearing on it. And one of the things that they discussed at that was to be prepared for an additional circuit court branch. You had to have a courtroom built. You had to have a resolution of support by the county board. And so those are the 2 main requirements in order to be granted one. So I think St. Croix County, more than any other county in the state, is probably prepared to do that because we've already done both of those things. Most other counties have not. So we were added as an amendment to the existing bill. That bill has passed through the state assembly. It'll hit the floor for the Senate on March 17th, and if approved by the Senate, it'll then go to the governor for signature, which all indications are that that will happen. We're in the, our Fifth Circuit Court branch will be added in 2028. And so we have a couple of years to finalize and get ready for that, but our fiscal impact for us won't hit until the year 2028, and that hits mid-year anyways at that point. I think what our cost for that would be, each circuit court branch has a dollar amount that the state allocates. I think our operating cost for an additional court is probably about $100,000 more than what the state gives us. And so we would have to budget some additional funds to cover that. Judicial assistants, clerk of courts, staff to fund, to man that court are the type of costs that we have for that. There'll also probably be some remodeling costs for the existing courtrooms just to make sure they're compatible and comparable with the existing courtrooms that we've redone on the first floor level here. That'll come up through our normal KIP process. But that's where we're at. That's what the fiscal impact is. And that's the update on that.
Thank you. Very encouraging. Any other questions? Okay, we're going to move on to our business items. The first is, got a lot of business for the Community Development Committee. First is ordinance repealing and recreating Chapter 14, non-metallic mining reclamation of the St. Croix County Code of Ordinances. Do we have a motion, please? Supervisor Van Summeren?
Make a motion that we okay the ordinance repealing and recreating Chapter 14, non-metallic mining reclamation of St. Croix County Code of Ordinances.
And second, Supervisor Shirley. All right, who would like to take this up? Supervisor Counter?
I'll start, but then I'm going to get help. So I just wanted to bring up that most of these things, there's many, many, many pages of changes as if you look through the packet, but a lot of this had to do with updating the regulations, our ordinances to match more in terms with DNR regulations and Wisconsin statute changes that have come about. So we need to stay in compliance with them. So a lot of these changes have to do with that. Some of it also dealt a little bit with some streamlining and reorganization. So I'll let Jason get more into the, but I just wanted to give you that overview first. So thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Chair and members of the board, so Chapter 14 is a long-standing ordinance that the county had. When we look at non-metallic mining is governed by Administrative Code NR 135. The county had a non-metallic mining ordinance before the state even had a non-metallic mining administrative code. And so we were grandfathered in all of these years that we didn't have to comply with the statute. The proposal before you tonight actually does comply, or it's intended to comply with NR 135. The more restrictive standards were what I would call zoning standards. So stuff in regards to setback from property lines, on-site fuel storage in a non-metallic mine, and also provisions in regards to mining into the groundwater. And so also on the agenda tonight is Chapter 15, which also includes those more restrictive zoning standards from Chapter 14. Those were copied and pasted out of 14 and moved into 15. What we get by doing that is we're still able to enforce those standards underneath our general zoning, and we also get a Chapter 14 that complies with the administrative code. And that, long and short of it, is basically the reason for the changes to Chapter 14. There was also ordinance citations in there that referred to the old Chapter 17, which used to be our general zoning that changed back in 2017 or 2019 time period. So it's just a big cleanup and to get that ordinance moving forward with state law, but yet still retaining those more restrictive provisions in our general zoning ordinance. With that, does anybody have any questions?
Questions for Jason? Anyone have questions? All right, seeing none, the motion is to approve the ordinance repealing and recreating Chapter 14, non-metallic mining reclamation of the St. Croix County Code of Ordinances. We're ready to vote. There we go. And that motion passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, we're going to move on to the next business item, ordinance repealing and recreating Chapter 15 zoning of the St. Croix County Code of Ordinances. We'll start with a motion. Supervisor Counter?
So, what's that? I'm making the motion. Oh, sorry. Ordinance repealing and recreating Chapter 15 zoning of the St. Croix County Code of Ordinances.
And second, Supervisor Shirley. Okay, Jason, while you're there.
All right. So again, Chapter 15 was amended. We did a comprehensive revision about a year ago. It was passed by the county board in March of '25. And throughout the last year, the committee has taken over CUPs for various uses in our general zoning district. So the committee had decided that they would like to make a few tweaks to Chapter 15. One of those tweaks was to limit the amount of major home occupations that you can have per parcel. Before, we don't have a cap or a set number of home occupations you can have. And so, believe it or not, we found out that people might want to have more than one business on their property. And so this proposal limits one major home occupation per parcel and also provides a couple other tweaks to minor home occupations. Again, we added the Chapter 14 non-metallic mining, I'll call them zoning standards again, into this ordinance. And then also, as part of our general zoning ordinance, we have to comply with the farmland preservation program, and it needs to be certified with the state. In bulk, our ordinance before was approved by the state, but they did want to have a bunch of statute citations to reference back to the statute throughout the ordinance. So you'll see there was a bunch of those added as well. And then just in our general enforcement through zoning in the last year, we wanted to make a general standard to make sure that it was very clear that only one dwelling per parcel was allowed. And that is something that we've heard from the towns as well, is that they don't support accessory dwelling units or ADUs, kind of like the granny flats kind of mentality. So that's how our ordinance has been, but we would just like a provision that would be much more clear for enforcement. That's the summary of the changes to Chapter 15.
Questions? Any questions for Jason on this particular item? All right, seeing none, the motion on the floor is to ordinance repealing and recreating Chapter 15 zoning of the St. Croix County Code of Ordinances. And that passes 17-1. Thank you. All right, we're going to move on to our third business item, ordinance repealing chapters 1701, 1709 through 1709, 1736, 1770 through 1772, and recreating Chapter 17, Lower St. Croix Riverway Overlay District of the St. Croix County Code of Ordinances. Motion, please.
Bear with me.
I move ordinance number 965 from 2026, ordinance repealing chapters 17.01-17.09, 1736, and 17.70 to 1772, and recreating Chapter 17, the Lower St. Croix Riverway Overlay District of the St. Croix County Code of Ordinances.
And do we have a second? Supervisor Van Summeren. Glad you're still at the podium.
All right, figured it'd speed things up if I was here. So as part of the comprehensive revision process in that 2017 to 2019 timeframe, when our new Chapter 15 was created, the old general zoning ordinance was Chapter 17. And so when Chapter 15 went into place, Chapter 17 was left in three different parts. One is kind of the beginning part of an ordinance, one is kind of the middle, and then one is kind of the end. And you'll notice that in 17.7 to 17.72, that whole area was deleted out because it talked about towns having deputy zoning administrators, which we don't have anymore because they're under county zoning. But the goal in that was to take and create one standalone ordinance that complied with Wisconsin Administrative Code NR 118, which is for the St. Croix area. And one of the other changes was that any kind of CUP would go to the Community Development Committee instead of the BOA. And one of the things that we've done internally is we've been able to help with the development and design of a lot of stormwater practices within that area. And we got actually a little worksheet that even a homeowner can use to create, and that how much they need to do for stormwater for their impervious surfaces. So our current ordinance had a stormwater volume that we calculated off from a 1.5 inch rain event, and just it seems like our storm events are getting bigger and bigger. So we looked at increasing that to a 25-year, 4.7 inch rain event in the proposed draft. And while that might cost the homeowner a little bit more to install that, at the end of the day, by us being able to help them develop that design in-house, and that they can take and put that towards actually improving their stormwater on their lot, and that would entail help the St. Croix water quality, and it would be probably at a less cost than if they had to hire a consulting firm to help them with those plans. So that is in the proposed draft. The DNR has reviewed and approved of the draft. That took about a 5-month process to get that done. And that's basically the summary of Chapter 17. Is there any question?
Any questions? Supervisor Carlson?
Can you put some numbers to what you said costs a little bit more?
Yeah, so let's say, well, maybe numbers. So I'm going to be ballparking, really general, okay? And so right now, the way our ordinance is worded, let's say you want to build a house along the St. Croix. And let's say that you got, 3,000 square feet. Right now, the homeowner's going to a professional engineer to take and develop a plan for stormwater on that lot for that 3,000 square feet. We've developed a spreadsheet, and that uses a bunch of formulas similar to like an engineer would do to calculate the amount of water volume. It gives them an option, or actually 4 options, to capture that water runoff. And we can do that all in-house. We can help them with that design. So instead of spending maybe $5,000 to have that plan done, they can put that money towards actually improving their property, maybe with a rain garden, maybe with a stormwater pond, maybe with an infiltration pit that's completely subgrade. And that would entail help with those larger storm events, capturing all of that runoff and keeping it out of the St. Croix. So instead of doing that, they're actually using it to improve their property.
Supervisor Ramberg.
Thank you, Chair. I've always been confused with that 25-year storm event. Could you help explain? I know there was a difference between it has a chance of happening once every 25 years, or it has a chance of happening 1 in 25th chance every year. I was always confused with that, because what people will say to me years ago was, well, it happened now. Now I got 25 years before it'll happen again.
Yeah.
No.
Right.
Could you help?
The odds of having that 4.7-inch rainfall event is every 25 years. So that is what what it actually means. St. Croix County is actually right on the line between 4.7 and 4.8 inches. And so we went with the smaller one, so, yep.
But that doesn't mean that it won't happen 2 years in a row.
Right, correct. And so we're just seeing the trend of these larger storm events increasing, it seems like. And so, and really all it's gonna do is mean that they have more capacity. Yep.
Other questions for Jason on this particular ordinance? All right, seeing none, the motion on the floor is to approve the ordinance repealing chapters 17.01 to 1709, 17.36, 1770, and through 17.72, recreating Chapter 17, Lower St. Croix Riverway Overlay District, the St. Croix County Code of Ordinances. And that motion passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, we're going to move on to the next item, the ordinance repealing and recreating Chapter 21, Municipal Solid Waste, Reduction, Recovery, and Recycling of the St. Croix County Code of Ordinances. Do we have a motion, please? Anyone? Supervisor
make-
Shirley?
A motion to approve the ordinance repealing and recreating Chapter 21 Municipal Solid Waste Reduction, Recovery, and Recycling of the St. Croix County Code of Ordinances.
And a second, Supervisor Van Summeren. Take it away, Jason.
All right. So Chapter 21 was another ordinance that hadn't been opened up for a long time, but the reason why it was opened up now was because Wisconsin Administrative Code NR 544 was changed at the state level. And some of the things that were changed at the state level, any kind of technology changes and stuff over the last few years, there have been more items that are now being able to be reused, recycled, repackaged. And so our Chapter 21 now includes those other items, and it takes them off from the banned items from the landfill list. Also, there was a few things that we had to add to the banned items from the landfill list there as well. There was a bunch of provisions in Chapter 21 that we just simply don't have the staff to necessarily enforce. And while it maybe sounded good on paper, it wasn't maybe a big priority, we thought. So like, you know, how many recycling containers you have at a house and the size of the containers. And so it would be very difficult to actually administer that. So this ordinance involved a lot of streamlining of those provisions down to what we can actually enforce at the county level. And it is very important because our annual grant for that program is tied to this ordinance. So that needs to be updated here by April. So that's one of the reasons why all of these ordinances are on tonight's agenda. Any questions?
Any questions on this particular ordinance? Any questions for Jason? All right, seeing none, we're ready to vote on the motion to approve the ordinance repealing and recreating Chapter 21 Municipal Solid Waste Reduction, Recovery, and Recycling of the St. Croix County Code of Ordinances. And that motion is approved unanimously. Thank you. All right, the next item, resolution authorizing the Community Development Director to submit a Land and Water Conservation Fund grant application to the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources for the construction of an ADA-compliant bathroom and pavilions at Eckert Bufflands Park. Supervisor Rice?
I move the resolution authorizing the Community Development Director to submit a Land and Water Conservation Fund grant application to the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources for the construction of an ADA-compliant bathroom and pavilions at Eckert Bufflands Park.
And a second, Supervisor Counter. Go ahead, Jason.
All right.
You're still there, just stay there for a little while longer.
Yeah. So our grants this year are kind of up in the air with the Knowles Nelson stewardship funding. That's still up in the air. But the Land and Water Conservation Fund grant application is maybe a little misleading because you think it would be tied to land and water conservation. However, the Knowles Nelson Stewardship Fund and the Land and Water Conservation Fund are very similar. And so this grant here would be due on May 1st. They still haven't come out with the paperwork on it yet, just because of the uncertainty with the Knowles Nelson program moving forward. But we do know that it is funded. The goal of this grant would be to assist with the development of the bathroom building. So we're looking at like a 4-stall, what I would call a half bath, so a stool and a lav in each corner of the building. And then there would be like a concession stand storage area in the middle. And with that would be the utilities, so water, septic, power to the building. And then with that new revised master plan that the board did last year, we had on there some playground, pavilion areas. And so we're looking at 2 pavilions with the playground kind of in the middle of it. One pavilion being larger to accommodate larger groups, like a 36 by 54 in size, and the other one about 20 by 40. And then with that, of course, to make everything accessible for ADA, we would have all the sidewalks and stuff to get up into it. So our estimate on this grant would be roughly then $594,000. If we were awarded the grant, it would cover 50% of the project cost. And that would be a project for 2027. And we would use either existing park budget or funds that were already approved by the county board for the KIP for the park development.
Questions for Jason on this resolution? Any questions? Okay, well, the motion on the floor is to approve the resolution authorizing Community Development Director to submit a Land and Water Conservation Fund grant application to the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources for the construction of an ADA-compliant bathroom and pavilions at Eckerd Blufflands Park. Sorry. And that motion passes unanimously. Thank you. We're going to move on to business item number 6, a resolution requesting Wisconsin Counties Association lobby state legislature and governor on legislation for greater local control for Wisconsin counties related to renewable energy. We have a motion. Supervisor Shirley?
I will make a motion to approve the resolution requesting Wisconsin Counties Association lobby the state legislature and governor on legislation for greater local control for Wisconsin counties related to renewable energy.
And a second, Supervisor Carlson. Okay, who would like to pick this up? Supervisor Shirley? Thank you.
All right, we are looking at this one. I think we are the 7th or 8th county, I think, that has passed these, and they're all very similar. I've gotten a few questions on why we're asking to lobby the state instead of sending it to the state. I think we've talked about that a little bit in the past, that when we come to our yearly list of things that we want to talk to our legislators about, we do that for a reason, that we don't bombard them throughout the year of additional ones. So if we ask the Counties Association for help now, we'll hopefully add that to our list of things this next year that we want to talk about in this next session. So that's the reasoning behind that.
Any comments, questions on this particular resolution? Any comments or questions? Supervisor Rice?
Well, I voted for this in committee, but I'll be voting against it today. For a couple reasons. The first one is that there's a reason why things are structured in the state of Wisconsin the way they are relative to energy, whether it's renewable or any other source. And that is that none of us ever wants these in our backyard. I'm not talking about just renewable, I'm talking about nuclear. It doesn't matter. The people in Bayport didn't want the King Power Plant. So the decision about siting these kinds of utilities is not in the hands of local control because none of us would ever vote for it. So it's taken away from us for a reason. But the other thought is we have been the center of, the county has been the center of a lot of conversation in the last year and a half, a lot of emotion about this proposed XL site. Even though the people that come before us will acknowledge that we don't get to decide, we do not have the power to decide whether or not XL can go forward. The power for that resides somewhere else. So I think passing this is just one more indication for people to come here and tell us about how they feel about this proposed project when we don't have the authority to say yay or nay. So I'm going to be voting against this. It just seems that, let the next board decide what they think the priorities should be, but passing this will just give more fuel to people to continue to show up and demand that we spend money fighting something that we can't control. So.
Other comments, questions? Okay, we're ready to vote on the motion to pass a resolution requesting Wisconsin Counties Association lobby state legislature and governor on legislation for greater local control for Wisconsin counties related to renewable energy. And that motion passes 14-4. We're on to our last business item, resolution supporting Wisconsin establishing a membership with the Multi-State Information Sharing and Analysis Center.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 13, supporting Wisconsin establishing membership with the Multi-State Information Sharing and Analysis Center.
Second.
Supervisor Adams. John, would you like to give us a little background on this, please?
Good evening. So the Multi-State Information Sharing and Analysis Center is a membership organization that was run by the feds for a long time. It was defunded in January of last year, February of last year. It's an important organization because it provides technical resources for state and local governments and native territories too. So we're all in this together, sharing information about cybersecurity and technology advancements and threats. And we all share that information. We meet monthly on this. St. Croix County has chosen to stay in the paid membership. It used to be free. We pay $10,000 a year for this right now. It's based on annual budget of your organization, so it's a tiered structure for pricing. And we subscribe to a couple different services through them. We subscribe to internet monitoring, so they monitor our network traffic to see if there's any anomalies. They monitor our organization 24/7, so we have a 24/7 security operations center that we don't have to pay for. And we also get a $40,000 a year roughly discount on our antivirus and malware software that we buy because we're a member of them. If the state, we pay $10,000 a year for our subscription. Smaller organizations can pay as little as $1,495 a year for it. There's 2,300 organizations in the state of Wisconsin that could benefit from this. If everybody paid just the minimum, it'd be $3.5 million. The state could pay a annual subscription of $795,000 to cover everybody in the state. So it just makes sense to support this. I've seen probably 10 or 15 other counties support this so far. I see a couple a week right now, and it just makes sense. Even if the state did a chargeback model for it, it would still benefit everybody because the prices would be so much cheaper. It'd work out to about $350 an organization if the state even did a chargeback model on it. So I'm looking for your support on it. I think that it would work. It would benefit the people around us that we do business with that maybe can't afford to pay for it, but we communicate with them via email. If they get compromised, typically we get an email from them with a bad payload in it, and we would love for them to not be sending us those messages. So, yeah.
Supervisor Hanson.
When I read through this, I wondered if there's a central location when all members are listed together, and is there a vulnerability to everybody being an electronic group together, where one big hack could take advantage of that vulnerability?
So they don't have all of our members. They have the people from my team that are members, and the people from different counties are members, so they would have us as contacts, but they don't have your email addresses. They don't have the rest of our staff's email addresses to get a hold of, which is a valid concern. And any type of email harvesting campaign would have everybody's email in the state if that was the case. So did I understand your question properly?
Right, that's exactly it. If
Yeah.
we're all members of one thing, we have people from each county at a central point,
Sure.
which is working together to avoid being taken advantage of by some hacking organization. I don't know what you call them.
Yeah, we saw one last year where they were trying to do an email harvesting campaign that was coming out of Pakistan or India or somewhere. So we didn't actively participate in that one. We put the brakes on it right away. But yeah, it's good to have people working together. A member of our team actually is a member of the Wisconsin cyber response team too. We volunteer some of his time to help other organizations within the state of Wisconsin. If they do get attacked, he's one of the first ones to respond to them. So we have the resources. We like to help the smaller organizations that get compromised, and in return, we get intel from the Wisconsin CRT and the ISAC, which is the abbreviation for the Multi-State Sharing Organization.
Any other questions for John on this particular resolution? All right, seeing no other questions, the motion is to approve the resolution supporting Wisconsin establishing a membership with the Multi-State Information and Sharing and Analysis Center. And that motion passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, that wraps up our business items for this evening. Any requests for future agenda items? Supervisor Van Summeren.
Thank you, Chair. I think it's probably time that we as a county have the discussion on data centers. And if we're going to welcome them, if we're not going to welcome them, how are we going to approach them? And maybe that just means we'll hand it off to another committee, but at least I think we should get started on that. It seems like there's one possibly coming in Menominee and Dunn County. There's one possibly coming in Pierce County. So we must be next. I don't know. So please.
Any other requests for future agenda items? Supervisor Counter.
Once we get everybody in the new term, one of the that we have brought up with our committee in community development is we've been watching the progress of contamination issues from nitrates and things throughout St. Croix County, and it's becoming an issue of alarm. So what we would like to do after we have our new board in place is have a report on that so that the entire county board is aware what's going on, and understand that we will need to.
Point of
look at
order,
that.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Never mind, I withdraw.
Thank you. Any other requests for future agenda items? All right, announcements? Any announcements? Supervisor Rice?
Well, before we leave, I want to make sure that we all thank you for your service. I have thoroughly enjoyed working with you, and we don't always agree on everything, but you're always respectful and responsive, and thank you for that.
Okay, absent any other announcements, it is 5:51 and we're adjourned. Here we go.
Great meeting. And so my thing that I said,